The nation will have newly elected official lawmakers today as the oath-taking ceremony has been scheduled for this afternoon. Despite a galore of challenges, we can be hopeful that the new and young faces at the parliament, along with experienced hands, can address the country's pressing matters and strengthen the state's constitution in the days to come. Good morning, I'm Sapsanamma. Let's begin with the headlines of the hour. Newly elected lawmakers to take their oath of office and secrecy today. 26 to take the oath in their mother tongue. UML directs its lawmakers to do it in Nepali language. New government faces massive challenges to protect the nation from economic crisis. Experts urge political parties to appoint a capable candidate as finance minister. US President Joe Biden assures Ukraine's President Zelensky that the US will stick by Ukraine for as long as it takes in its war with Russia. And domestic football tournaments resumes in many countries after the World Cup. Manchester United enters into the quarterfinals of League Cup with a 2-0 win over Burnley. Newly elected lawmakers will take their oath of office and secrecy today. Senior-most member of the parliament, Pashupati Samsher J.B. Rana, is scheduled to administer the oath at 1 p.m. in the parliament building at New Baneshwar in Kathmandu. Rana was administered the oath yesterday by the president. 165 members have been elected to the House of Representatives from the direct category and 110 from proportionate. 26 of the newly elected lawmakers will take their oaths in their mother tongue. CPN-UML has, however, directed all its lawmakers to wear national attire and take their oaths in Nepali language. After administering the oath, Pashupati Samsher Rana will head the sessions until a speaker is appointed. President Vidya Devi Bhandari will call for the first House session based on the recommendation of the government. The lower house will need to appoint new speaker within 15 days from the first session. Parliament Secretariat Speaker Rojnath Pandey has said an all-party meeting has been called to discuss on today's ceremony. The new lawmakers will be provided Parliament's logo before their oath-taking ceremony. The third largest party at the Parliament, CPN Maoist Centre, will choose its parliamentary party leader today following the oath-taking ceremony of the lawmakers of the House of Representatives. A meeting of the parliamentary party has been called for 4 p.m. later today for the same. It is certain that party chair Pushpa Kamal Dahal will be elected for the post. There are 32 lawmakers from Maoist Centre in the lower house, including 18 who won in the direct category and 14 selected from the proportionate list. Party's leaders have said discussions on the formation of government will intensify after the appointment of the parliamentary party leader. The Supreme Court of Nepal has ordered the release of infamous French serial killer Charles Sobras, who had been behind bars for heinous crimes, including murder in Nepal. A writ of habeas corpus was filed demanding the release of Sobras on grounds of reduction of sentences for senior citizens. The joint bench of Justices Sapna Pradhan Malla and Til Prasad Shrestha ordered the release of Sobras, the French citizen and with Vietnamese and Indian parentage, who has been serving his sentences at the central jail Sundhara. Prior to this, a writ was filed demanding the release of 78-year-old Sobras on ground of reducing sentences for senior citizens. As provisioned by the Senior Citizens Act, sentences of those above the age of 75 can be reduced by up to 75%. However, not all of the jailbirds have benefited from this facility because of contrasting provisions of the Prisons Act and other regulations. According to the Prisons Act of Nepal, there is no provision for reducing sentences in case of heinous crimes. Sobras, who has been implicated in more than 20 killings, served 21 years in prison in India for poisoning a French tourist and killing an Israeli national. He was arrested in Kathmandu in 2004 after he was first spotted in a casino. The Supreme Court had sentenced him to life in prison for murdering an American tourist, Connie Joy Bronzit, in 1975 in Nepal. In 2014, he was convicted of killing Laurent Carriere, a Canadian backpacker, and given a second life sentence. The Supreme Court has also ordered for his deportation within 15 days of the release if there are no additional sentences required to be served by him. If the existing political equation remains intact, the new government is likely to be led by familiar figures. The new government will be formed by the time the semi-annual review of the budget of the ongoing fiscal year has to be held and preparations for a new budget are to begin. However, economists have begun expressing concerns about the new government's approach in addressing the surfacing signals of inflation and economic crisis. While introducing the budget for the ongoing fiscal year on 29th of May, Finance Minister Janardhan Sharma was alleged of amending tax rates for the vested interest of a few sectors and having the presence of unauthorized individuals inside the Ministry of Finance during the development of budget. Despite the investigation committee on the footage scandal giving him a clean chit, he is still suspected of financial irregularities by several corners. It remains to be seen if the ruling coalition forms a new government and who would be assigned with the responsibility of the Ministry of Finance. However, low revenue collection, reduction in demand of products and services, coupled with the downfall of real estate sector and the share market have hinted towards inflation and economic crisis. In such a scenario, questions have begun surfacing regarding the approach of the new government in addressing these issues. The International Monetary Fund has projected a serious economic crisis in 2023, while the World Bank has said that developing economies are to face serious challenges because of low economic growth rate. Experts have said that it is another challenge for the next government to appoint an expert in the area who can address the financial and economic challenges of the country. Service seekers who use the urgent service facility of the Department of Passport are almost always compelled to face several complications. Despite the process to receive an electronic passport requiring filling of an online form and reaching the department only to record biometric data, payment of fees and recording biometric data takes up to 2 days, which has added plight for thousands of service seekers. It takes more than a month to record biometric data from the district administration offices, while more time is spent before the service seekers receive their passport. Urgent service was introduced by the Department of Passport to ease such complications. However, grievances of the service seekers are instead increasing as the urgent service facility has failed to deliver to expectations, with the service seekers still compelled to queue long hours for 2 procedures. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, why has distribution of passport remained a complicated procedure? Your options are A, government indifference, B, delay from officials, and C, technical complications. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Now, in our Public Voice segment, we've asked people in several provinces what should be done to make public transport more efficient. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
एकरूपता गर्न पर्यो
गन्तव्यमा सही टाइममा पुग्छ भन्ने कुरा हुनुपर्छ पब्लिकलाई
शुल्कहरू कम गर्ने गाडी भाडाहरूलाई
काठमाडौँमा व्यवस्थित हुन सकेको छैन हाम्रो बिरगञ्जमा के होला त
पुरुष र महिला सार्वजनिक एकै ठाउँमा भएको हुनाले अलि अप्ठ्यारो भइरहेछ
आफ्नो व्यवहारलाई सुधार गर्नुपर्छ
यातायात सेवा लिने र दिने दुवै पक्ष राम्रो हुन पर्यो
सिट अनुसार चाहिँ अब यात्रुहरूलाई व्यवस्था गर्नु पर्यो
अनुसारको प्यासेन्जरलाई हालेर हिँड्नु पर्यो
टिकटको व्यवस्था हुनु पर्यो
सरकारको नीति पनि राम्रो हुन पर्यो
सबभन्दा अप्ठ्यारो बाटोको छ
सिट भन्दा बाहेक मान्छे हाल्नु भएन अनि सुरक्षित लानु पर्यो
सरकारले निर्माण गरेका ऐन कानुनहरू व्यवस्थित रूपमा चाहिँ व्यावहारिक रूपमा प्रयोग गर्नु पर्यो
पुराना गाडीहरू विस्थापित गर्नु पर्यो
चालकहरूले हेर्नु पर्यो
ट्राफिक नियमहरूमा अलिक कडा गर्नुपर्छ
समयअनुसार सडकको स्तरोन्नति पनि गर्नुपर्छ
Time now for the international update. The World Health Organization (WHO) has said hospitals in China have been filling up amid concerns about a fresh COVID-19 wave hitting the country. Intensive care units (ICU) are busy despite officials saying numbers are relatively low. China figures show no one died of COVID on Wednesday, but there is skepticism about the disease's real impact. In recent days, hospitals in Beijing and other cities have been filling up as the latest COVID surge hits China. Since 2020, China has imposed strict health restrictions as part of a so-called zero-COVID policy. But the government ended most of these measures 2 weeks ago because of their significant impact on the economy. The number of cases has since soared, raising fears of a high mortality rate among the elderly, who are particularly vulnerable. Despite the rise, the official figures show only 5 people died from COVID on Tuesday and 2 on Monday. It has led to WHO urging China to provide more information about the latest spread of the virus. China has developed and produced its own vaccines, which have been shown to be less effective at protecting people against serious COVID illnesses, in fact, and death than the mRNA vaccines used in much of the rest of the world. Meanwhile, 4 cases of BF7 subvariant of Omicron, which is driving the huge COVID surge in China, has been detected in India as well. The cases had surfaced in Gujarat and Odisha. There is no mandatory COVID protocol in the country as of now. Now, an injectable HIV treatment that could replace pills that patients have to consume on a daily basis is currently on trial in a few countries. The injectable treatment has been considered groundbreaking and has given hopes that HIV-free world is within reach. Ever since Gerald Mounge tested positive for HIV 8 years ago, keeping his viral load in check has meant carrying around vials of pills for his daily treatment regimen while dodging the stigma his condition could invite on a gay man in Uganda. But he hopes that could soon change thanks to an injectable treatment that only needs to be taken once every 2 months. In October of last year, about 200 patients in the East African country began a trial of a World Health Organization approved injection. Results are due in 2024. The treatment, developed by British drug maker GlaxoSmithKline, is the first non-pill option against HIV, and studies have shown it even outperforms the efficacy of oral pills. Muwonge, who is not among the patients in the trial, said the new treatment option could reduce the stigma HIV patients suffer, particularly gay men like himself.
So the reason why I'm here is that because in the beginning they didn't know that I'm gay. But after me hiding and getting my treatment, after hiding and after says no, it's now time for me to come out as a gay person, that I am also a person who can take treatment. So I decided to be openly getting my treatment from here. But in the beginning, it was not really very easy. And also my friends who are just beginning on care, I know they are going through a lot.
Homosexuality is illegal in Uganda, and gay people often face arrest, ostracism and violence at the hands of law enforcement or local vigilantes. Many who have HIV have not come out to friends, family and co-workers, making them keen to hide that they have an illness that disproportionately affects the LGBTI community. The GlaxoSmithKline GSK treatment secured US approval last year and was endorsed this year by the WHO. GSK struck a deal in July to allow low-cost generic versions to be used in the developing world, but said the first generics will potentially only become available in 2026 because of regulatory requirements for manufacture and use. In the interim, GSK has said it was working on providing governments the regimen free of charge to run studies. Trials are also taking place in Kenya and South Africa. One of the doctors who is overseeing the trial in Uganda, where at least 1.4 million people live with HIV/AIDS, said the drugs were very promising. World Cup winner Lionel Messi has reached a deal with Paris Saint-Germain to stay with the club for at least the 2023-24 season. The 35-year-old forward, 7 times winner of the Ballon d'Or, helped Argentina lift the World Cup trophy by beating France on penalties in the final on Sunday. An official statement from PSG itself is, however, due. Paris Saint-Germain president Nasser El-Khelaifi said this month that Messi was happy at the Ligue 1 champions, adding that discussions about a contract extension would be held after the World Cup. Messi, who has 12 goals and 14 assists for PSG in all competitions this season, moved to French capital from Barcelona in 2021 on a 2-year contract. Barcelona and Poland striker Robert Lewandowski has won the 20th Golden Foot Award at a ceremony in Monaco. Lewandowski, who helped Poland reach the World Cup last 2016 before being eliminated by runners-up France, joined Barcelona from Bayern Munich at the start of the season and currently tops the La Liga goal-scoring list with 13 strikes. The annual award is given to an active player over the age of 28 after an online vote by fans and can only be won once. Mohamed Salah won it last year, while Lionel Messi, who led Argentina to World Cup glory on Sunday, has surprisingly yet to win the award. Created in 2003, the award was first awarded to Roberto Baggio, before being won by Pavel Nedved, Andriy Shevchenko, Ronaldo, Alexandro Del Piero and Roberto Carlos. The winners list also include Ronaldinho, Francesco Totti, Ryan Giggs, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Didier Drogba, Andres Iniesta, Samuel Eto'o, Gianluigi Buffon, Iker Casillas, Edinson Cavani and Luka Modric. Brazil's football legend Pele's cancer has reportedly advanced, requiring care related to renal and cardiac dysfunction. The 82-year-old Brazil great has been battling colon cancer since September 2021 and was hospitalized on November 29 for doctors to re-evaluate his treatment. His daughter said on Instagram post that he will spend Christmas in hospital. The former Brazil player, who won 1958, 1962 and 70 World Cups with the Brazilian national team, is also being treated for a respiratory infection. Pele has suffered from health problems recently, which have also led to hip surgery. He has since reduced his public appearances. The hearing at High Court on Sandeep Lamichhane's appeal against the order by Kathmandu District Court to investigate on the allegations of raping a minor while in judicial custody has been scheduled for today. Lamichhane has appealed for a correction to the decision made by the District Court. Should the hearing take place today, the High Court will decide whether to release Lamichhane on a bail. The Kathmandu District Court had back in November ordered to keep Lamichhane in custody throughout the investigation. In his appeal, Lamichhane has reiterated his innocence and said he will continue to support the investigation. And that's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.